Hello, broadcasters. Welcome to episode 227 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan. Of course, Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to everyone everyone who's a mom. Well, I guess to everyone who wants to celebrate it. For anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard. We do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with all of you, go through the same flow that you all do with your own shows and productions. Two is to answer any of your questions. That's why we're calling it Ask StreamYard. So if there's anything you'd like us to touch on tonight, feel free to leave it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. And then I always mention the three pillars of StreamYard, which are ease of use, stability, and professional streams. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. See people tuning in from all over the world. Tonight we've got Andrina's Casa from Turtle Island. Very cool. That's a new one.
Cool. Wonder where that is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you could share, Andrina, I'd be curious. Before I forget, we have lots of awesome shows on StreamYard. We have channel reviews with Dee and Daniel the second Saturday of every month. They just had a show yesterday, so if you missed that, definitely check it out. It's a really great show if you're looking to grow on YouTube. They give specific feedback on individual channels, so it's great for getting insights when it comes to thinking about things like your niche, how to interpret YouTube analytics and your thumbnails, all of that fun stuff. And then we have Enhance Your Live Streams the last Tuesday of the month with Nick Nimmin. Nick, again, pro when it comes to live video and all things video. So tune in there for your specific live streaming questions. And then we've been doing a fun fact at the start of these so that we get to know a little bit more about you and you get to know a little bit more about us. And the fun fact we had for tonight was, do you prefer sweet or salty foods? Do you have a preference, Dan?
Not a strong preference, I would say. I think I lean a bit more towards salty foods. I've never been a huge fan of candies or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure every kid when they're growing up likes them to some extent, but I wasn't as interested in candies as I think most kids are. And I like fruit, but yeah, I think I lean towards salty. How about you?
Yeah, for me, it's probably a close call as well. But if I had to pick, I probably enjoy salty foods at a higher frequency than sweet. So I think I'd pick salty.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple questions here, and then I did want to go over some of the recent announcements, and we had a video walking through some of the changes there. Let's see here. Bernadette says, is this live right now? I've been trying so hard to get to one of these. This is live right now, Bernadette. Great to have you here. Albert says, how do I get a 6-digit code? So when you log in or sign up for StreamYard, Albert, it'll just be emailed directly to the email that you used to log in with. Crowley says, does anyone have any issues with the phone screen going to sleep and then freezing in the live stream? So specifically with a phone, Crowley, if you're hosting from the phone and the phone goes to sleep, that definitely could cause issues with your individual feed. It shouldn't cause issues with the overall feed, though. So say you're in a stream with multiple guests or anything that's like an asset on the stream. The stream will continue going, but you do want to make sure that you have your phone set to not fall asleep and to stay running if you want to make sure that camera feed is not interrupted. But if that's not the case and it's a different type of issue, definitely shoot an email or to contact@streamyard.com, or we have 24/7 live chat at streamyard.com/contact.
Yeah, I'm also kind of surprised it's falling asleep in general when the camera's on, but maybe just your phone settings are unique. Usually it shouldn't do that, I don't think. But yeah, if you're running on a battery or something and it turns off because of that, obviously tough to avoid other than being plugged in for that. But yeah, everything else will keep going on in the background.
Cool. Question from Chris. I had someone sign up for StreamYard using the referral link. Should I have received an email or something alerting me that someone signed up? So we don't actually send an email when someone signs up just to save your inbox. Maybe we should and give you the option to turn off that alert, but we don't actually have that set. You will receive an alert if you earn credit, though. So if the person that you referred ends up upgrading on StreamYard, you will get an alert that person that you have earned credit from StreamYard. You can check if they signed up, though, just on your StreamYard referral dashboard has those stats for you, though. So you won't get the email, but you'll see it on that dashboard.
Yep.
Let's see what else we had here. Sounds like there's lots of salty fans of salty food in the chat.
Cool.
Lots of fans of YouTube channel reviews. Speak English with this guy says, love the auto-starred comments in the chat that highlight super chats and new membership. Thanks. Awesome. Super happy to hear that. Speak English. On that note, let's get into that subject really quick. So the new updates, we mentioned them last week, but now they're fully available. So everyone should have access to these now. And those updates are on-air customization. And like was just mentioned, the auto-starring super chats. So we actually have a video that we'll play here in a second that walks through all the changes with on-air customization, specifically around, for those of you new to what on-air is in general. On-air is basically a way to either do private live streams or your very own webinar. So basically everything that you could do on YouTube, say you want to do that on your own website or to a private audience, that's what on-air is for. And then auto-star super chats, pretty self-explanatory, is definitely a common request we got from folks that received a high number of super chats, is that they could get lost in the chat. So now we have an option that you can turn off if you don't want to use it, but it does default to on, where if you receive a super chat, that'll automatically surface in the starred section of the comments. Is anything to add to those ones, Dan, before I play the on-air video?
I don't think so. Yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to ask away, but especially for the on-air stuff, that'll be answered by the video.
Cool. And with that, we have a video from Dana walking through on-air. And yeah, if you have any questions as the video plays, leave it in the chat. We'll make sure we get to all of them afterwards. Here we go.
Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. You can now customize your on-air webinars by adding your brand color and your logo. This lets you customize your webinars to fit your exact brand, perfectly custom to you. Your logo and color will change how the registration page looks if you have it enabled, the invitation emails and reminder emails for your attendees, and the watch page. Don't have a logo? No problem. You can now remove the StreamYard logo and just simply have no logo, but choose your own color. Let's customize an on-air webinar together. I click on-air webinar, add my title and description. You can enable registration if you'd like and upload a thumbnail. Choose the date and time, then click create. Next, you'll see a new preview screen that lets you share the link with your viewers and customize your webinar. Let's click on-air branding and settings. You'll see we moved the live chat setting and the available on-demand setting to this section. Here, I can choose my color and upload my logo. In the preview section below, I get a glimpse of what my color and logo is going to look like on the registration page, the email content, and the watch page. We save all your branding and settings for future webinars. Once you're done customizing, click Save Changes. Now let's head to the watch page. Let's register. Awesome. Let's take a look at some example on-air webinars. Here's an example of the logo I just uploaded. Here's another company, Hootsuite. This is the default color, blue with the StreamYard logo. This is what we use for our webinars. Here's an example from Microsoft. Here's one from Google. And here's one from a company called Morning Brew. If you don't have a logo, you can upload any image you'd like this emoji here. This feature is available on all plans, professional and above. We can't wait to see your on-air customizations. This is just the beginning of on-air webinars, and we can't wait for you to see what we have in store. Happy streaming.
Awesome. So yeah, hopefully all of you are excited for the new feature. Curious what you think of it if you've had a chance to try it out. And if there's anything else you'd like to see added to on-air, definitely let us know. Let's see what else we had here. Crayley, I see a few more updates from you on the iOS thing. If you could shoot an email to contact@streamyard.com with the specific stream URL, either preferably the StreamYard studio link, that would be great, and we could look more into it for you. Appreciate you sharing that. Let's see what else we had here. The Silver Stacker says, I stream to YouTube from my computer. I see comments about 10 seconds after my wife sees them from her phone. Is there a fix for this? Thanks. So Silver Stacker, do you mean inside the StreamYard studio, or do you mean watching from the? I assume you mean within the StreamYard studio. So there is a slight delay in the studio based on how often we're able to pull comments from YouTube. I think. Anything to add to that, Dan?
Yeah, I would like to make it shorter. There are kind of limits on how fast we are able to pull those comments, and it does depend on the stream. Like there are some variables that go into it. I would like to make it a bit faster. Right now, we do pull Facebook comments faster than YouTube comments, for example. But yeah, I'm hoping we can change that in the future. So there's always going to be a little bit of delay, but just because of how basically YouTube exposes those comments to us and how we have to get those comments. But yeah, I'm hoping we can get that a little bit shorter. 10 seconds is quite a bit. That's kind of like the absolute extreme of how long it should ever get. It usually should hopefully be more like 6 seconds or 5 seconds, but I prefer if we get it even lower than that.
Cool. Let's see what else we had here. Chappis says, how about having a way to organize past videos, folders, or tags? Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Chappis, do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's not something that's on our roadmap right now, but I definitely get the need for it. So I wouldn't say it's coming soon or anything, but if a lot of people really want it, I think it's interesting. Could make sense.
Cool. Noah says, question, are you going to make an update where we have to upgrade to make more custom layouts? So what is the limit now on how the total?
I believe it's 8 right now. So we mostly wanted to start with 8 and just see how many people are actually going to use that many and how many people actually run into the limit. I assume in your case you have actually run into the limit. So we're not sure exactly what we're going to do for people that do need more. If that is a paid feature, if it's just something we just extended or we just extended for certain accounts. We first just want to see, does anyone actually use this many layouts? So we're kind of trying to figure out what to do with that now. So no updates on that, I would say, and we're still kind of early in terms of looking at the data.
Cool. Deborah says, can registration from the, I assume, on-air webinars be synced to Constant Contact? So at this time, Deborah, the answer is no. The only thing we have right now is the ability to download the CSV and then upload them to places like Constant Contact. So obviously not ideal, but that is the only workaround we have right now. But we are eager to add more integrations. So we are working on adding direct integrations with popular CRMs. So stay tuned on that.
Yep.
Shapa says it will be a great way to organize past videos. Agreed. Let's see what else we had here. How we got here, Genealogy says, would love to see some tools for promoting upcoming streams, such as posting and scheduled posts before and after the live streams to various social media. Yeah, I think that's a good point, Genealogy. It is definitely something that's on the team's mind in terms of brainstorming, like how can we actually give people the tools to be more successful outside of the live stream? And that's a big part of what we're doing with some of the repurposing functionality and editing functionality. It's like, hey, you made all this awesome content. How can we make it go even further after the show is over? But content before the stream too, I think is a really cool idea.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else we had here. Dave says, I did my first on-air this week, 6-hour webinar, and it worked great. But in my the recorded video, some parts are slightly out of sync. This was not the case live. Thoughts on how to fix in the future? If you could send an email, Dave, with the link to the on-air, that would be great. One thing that might be possible is the play that I have that has come up before is the player that you're watching it in. Like, there's lots of different video players, like, FLV player or QuickTime. Sometimes those do playback videos slightly differently. So the recording might actually be in sync, and it might be something with the metadata resulting with a player. And we are ironing out things like that to make sure that it works fine across all players. But if you could shoot an email, it'd be great for us to investigate further with you. Tristan says, question, does the saved setup for on-air apply per brand or account?
So it's per account.
Per account.
Or workspace if you're on the business plan.
Awesome. Matt says, I've noticed a lower quality difference on Facebook compared to YouTube. Do different platforms stream at different frame rates? So different platforms do have different options when it comes to like how they encode the video and distribute the video. So you definitely might notice different quality on different platforms. It might also be something though, like maybe on Facebook, you might actually just have your settings on something different on like your own viewer end compared to YouTube. So you might want to at least try to make sure that you have those matched up, that like what you're watching on YouTube, you actually have it the same settings as Facebook. But yeah, every platform is slightly different in terms of like what they offer when it comes to playback.
Yes. Yeah, and they encode, like Geige said, they encode with different settings. So like we'll send them the live stream and then they kind of encode it to a bunch of different formats and that can affect it. So yeah, there will be slight differences in certain cases. And it also depends on the content. Like it's possible, even like the encoding settings for YouTube they're just different than Facebook, presumably. So in some cases, Facebook might actually look better. In some cases, YouTube might look better. Kind of depending on what you're sharing. Like if you're streaming a game versus, just you on screen, it could be affected differently.
Cool. B-Boy says, question, how many layouts can you do on stream and when people join? So when it comes to custom layouts, I think Dan mentioned that the limit right now is 8, but we might increase it in the future. But in terms of like how many you can switch at any time, as many times as you want throughout the stream. So maybe I'm missing something in terms of like when people join, but like you can add and remove people at any time. And the layouts, especially if you're using the dynamic grid, it will adjust dynamically based on the number of people. But if I'm missing something in the second part of that question.
And if the question is more about just how many people can you have, then it's 6 on the free plan and 10 on the paid plans on screen.
Yeah. Split Rock says, can we get an ending video to match the 30-second countdown? It will help with awkward sign-offs by guest and host. Yeah, that makes sense. That's part of the reason why we play a video to close out these shows. Yeah, we definitely want to add more assets in general. We've been super impressed with like how many people actually use that 30-second countdown. We thought more people would just use it as a way to like test it and understand how it worked, but ultimately upload their own. But based on how many people are actually using it, we definitely want to add more resources when it comes to things like intros and outros and brand assets. So definitely something that we'll likely add in the future. Kathy says, I'm challenged with people registering for my on-air events. I'd be curious, Kathy, do you just mean in terms of like promoting it and getting people to sign up for it? Or is there something else when it comes to the process of registering? We definitely want to continue to improve it. Yep. We definitely try to make it really simple. Like that was one thing we tried to keep in mind, just because we've done our own webinars with StreamYard for a long time in terms of like onboarding users. And we've also done a lot of our own events. And one of the biggest pain points we often had with products was the amount of additional steps they would introduce when getting someone to register for a webinar. Because obviously, when you're trying to get someone to register, you really want to make sure that there's as few steps as possible where they can just immediately put in some information and be registered for that event. So we did try to keep it really streamlined, but would be curious to learn more about what you'd like to see there.
Yep.
All right. Tristan says, follow-up question. Will you look to allow on-air settings per brand at any time, as this would make sense as it's a branding element? Do you want to take that one, Dan?
Yeah, potentially. I would say we did consider it. As of right now, we're not planning to do that just because it is outside of the studio, whereas the branding stuff, it does feel kind of very studio specific. Obviously, Tristan, you're very familiar with the product, so it might feel like it would make more sense to correlate those, but I think for some people it would maybe cause some confusion because they're kind of in completely different places in the product. We might have something though to sort of help you with that is not like the same concept as the brands we already have. It's also just kind of the confusion of like when you're creating an on-air, you don't necessarily know what your current brand is set to because you're not actually in the studio right now. So there's just enough things that made it seem like it'd be confusing if we associated them. So they're not associated right now, but yeah, potentially in the future.
Lila says, love your platform for pre-scheduling my lives. Awesome. Lila, super happy to hear that you're enjoying the platform. All right, let's do maybe a couple more questions here, and then we'll get back to some of the topics we had for tonight. Andrew says, what size graphic should we make for the background image? So anything that is the ratio 1280 by 720 should work great, Andrew.
Yep. Yeah, so usually 1280 by 720 or even 1920 by 1080.
Yep.
Either one of those is fine.
Anna says, I used to love the monthly assets you had. Those were very helpful. And maybe we're not posting them as regularly as we used to Anna, but we should still be posting those. I'll check in with the marketing team. But yeah, I should have mentioned that when it came to the countdown video, every month we generally in the Facebook community group, which you can find super easily. It's a great group if you're looking to learn and see what other folks are doing. You just type in StreamYard on Facebook, it should pop right up. But yeah, we often will post like seasonal assets and fun stuff to use in your own streams.
Yep.
RLCC says, is latency a problem in the destination or just the internet? So I assume by latency, RLCC, you're talking about like from the viewership side, like of people watching, how long of a delay there is. Primarily, that's going to be determined by where you're streaming to. So every platform has sort of a different set of how they optimize. Like some platforms prefer to like, let's make sure as many people can watch this without hiccups as possible, whereas some platforms prefer like, let's get as many people watching with low latency, and if someone has bad internet, they're going to have stutters, right? And that's ultimately what will usually determine the types of latencies that you'll see. Some platforms do give you some flexibility to sort of choose yourself, like whether you want to prioritize for low latency or prioritize for accessibility, essentially. So yeah, it just depends on your settings.
Yep. Yeah, we always, at least for the platforms where we can kind of set it ourselves when we create the stream. Something like YouTube, we choose, I always forget the names. I think it's low latency. It's basically the middle setting, which is typically like 7-8 seconds of latency on YouTube. There is a lower one if you wanted to manually change your streams, but there's a reason we choose the middle one. The quality is not going to be as good for viewers. And you won't necessarily know that either. There just might be a lot more buffering for viewers without you really being aware of it. So we find usually the middle setting is the best for YouTube, and the other ones you don't really get to choose.
Cool. Chris says, is StreamYard on Instagram or TikTok? I don't have Facebook. I assume you mean like as a brand, Chris, not in terms of destination support. And yes, we are. So Instagram we've had for a while. StreamYard is on Instagram, and recently we are also on TikTok. I think it's newer. We've only been on TikTok for a couple months, but yeah, we're posting some fun videos and stuff there. So if you'd like to, definitely follow us there.
Cool.
Kathy says, is there a way for me to be sure to get notified on the Facebook group with new posts? That's a good question, Kathy. So I do know that Facebook notifications are a bit of a mystery, where it's like it's often determined by your own behavior and like how Facebook is prioritizing what it wants you to see. But I do believe I would struggle to tell you exactly where it is. But
hard to find things on Facebook.
Yeah, there is a setting. There's lots of super pro Facebook users in the chat that can hopefully fill in the details of what I'm saying. But there's definitely a setting on individual groups, it's similar to YouTube setting of like, hey, always notify me, that you can set.
Yeah, see everything or see all or something like that.
Yeah, but hopefully someone in the chat can help me out, because I'm not sure exactly where it's located.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else we had here. Let's get to one of the other topics we had for tonight. One thing Dan and I were chatting about that we haven't talked about for a while was in terms of the guest experience. It's something that we haven't added too many changes. I guess probably the most recent change was the ability for folks to add like their name tags or not name tags, but their headlines, their titles. But we're curious if there's like what the main things you'd like to see improve with the guest experience, or if you're happy with where it is now. It's just something we haven't talked about for a while. So would be curious if you all have anything to share there.
Yeah, name tags and guest destinations were both quite new.
Yeah, guest destinations was a big one. For anyone that missed that update, guest destinations basically allow you to basically invite your guest to also stream to one of their platforms. So instead of just going to say your own YouTube channel, you could also send it out to say their Twitter or something like that.
Yep. And Adam, for your question about allowing guests to post in the chat, that is something we're actively looking into, more so than we ever have in the past. So hopefully that'll be soon.
Yes, I know you've been asking about that for a super long time. So really excited to release it and finally address that for you. Cool. Asanta says, question, which browser is most suggested to use for StreamYard? I sometimes have found Chrome to be a bit difficult with screen sharing, especially when playing a video. So Chrome is generally the one we recommend, Asanta, just because it's usually the most up-to-date when it comes to some of the features that we use to support the video functionality in StreamYard, but we do support most major browsers. I would be curious to learn a little bit more about like the difficulties that you're having, because we definitely want to make sure it's as seamless as possible. Playing a video is a bit of a unique one when it comes to like making sure that you have the audio shared and whatnot, but that's sort of something that you're going to run into on all browsers, I think. But would be curious to learn more if I'm missing anything there.
Yeah, and just a few suggestions as well. And you might already know all these things, but we do have the video sharing functionality, which works for a lot of videos. Like if you have it on your file system, you can just use the video share, which should typically work much better than screen share. I mean, if your computer's struggling, you could still have issues with video sharing as well. If your internet's struggling, you will still have issues with video sharing. But in general, it's a lot more performant than actually screen sharing. So if you can just use the video share button at the bottom. The other option, and like if you're sharing YouTube or something that won't necessarily work, you'll have to screen share it. But then with YouTube, I would just make sure you're screen sharing a tab and not a full screen or application. That'll be more performant. Sorry, I hit my mic. That'll be more performant than like sharing the tab will be a lot more performant than sharing the full Chrome application or the whole window. And then that's also the only way to share audio. I'm guessing you're already doing that, but just in case you're not. But yeah, if your internet is slower or something, it is quite a lot. Screen sharing is pretty heavy.
Cool. Should we go ahead and queue up the giveaway, Dan, while I get to a few more questions here?
We shall.
All right. I guess just to explain the giveaway really quick. Yeah, for anyone new here, we always do these giveaways at the end of the stream. So yeah, tonight we'll give away a StreamYard sweater and the StreamYard the StreamYard pillow. To be eligible, all you have to do is type in hashtag the yard, and we did actually make this giveaway available to everybody. So if you ever want to do your own giveaway, you can just go to StreamYard.com/giveaway and basically run it exactly how we're doing it here, and even choose your own keywords. So we'll give you a bit of time to get in your hashtag the yards. Hey Devontae, it's nice to see you here. It's been a long time since I've seen you. Would love to be able to control the mix minus feed for guests. Definitely noted, Devontae. We do have the ability to control overall volume, but we do want to give more allow for more functionality there. Keenan says, "Is this live or pre-recorded live?" It is live.
Yep. Yeah, our town halls are very interactive. Like a big reason for doing this is just a chance to get to chat with all of you, get feedback from all of you, make sure we're working on the right things. So yeah, it definitely wouldn't be as good as it was pre-recorded.
Josh says, the biggest change that I would like to see related to features would be the ability to start and stop in record only mode. I know that's been mentioned a lot by myself and others. Yes, absolutely, Josh. That is being actively worked on by the team. We're working on specifically that and a lot of other features when it comes to improving the record only mode in StreamYard. So excited for you to see what we have coming there.
Yep.
Kathy says, used guest destinations for the first time last week and love it. Great way to get directly in front of the audience of our guests. Awesome, Kathy. Super happy that it's working well for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a great way to help both you and your guests grow. All right, I think we go for it.
Go ahead.
We hit a solid 100.
Right on.
All right, let's do it. Good luck, everyone.
Brandon, I like your thumbnail, or I like your avatar. It's very catchy. Congrats. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. If you could shoot an email to contact@StreamYard.com, the team will get your size and your address to ship you your StreamYard sweater and your StreamYard pillow. Congrats again.
He looks excited in his avatar. It's like he knew he was going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. And with that, this was episode 227 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure being here with you and getting your feedback and answering your questions. Happy Mother's Day, and we'll see you next week at the same time, Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Always a pleasure. See you next week, everyone.